In a flat up in Chicago with a keyboard and some tea.
And we're going live. Let's see if I did it well today. Good morning, everybody. It's Spence. It's Friday, August 1st. The day which may live in infamy.
Every time he pulls a string, hey, evil genius, he's got a plug-in for that. Clicks and tricks from his marketing hat. Evil genius.
All right, I'm getting audio. Let's see if I got some folks in the chat. Good morning. Hello. Hello, everybody.
He builds with blocks like Lego with flows that.
Okay, I think I might have some folks. Good morning, John. Waiting for everybody to come on in. Today, I got to tell you a couple things to start while everybody's piling in. And by the way, John, good morning, Karina. Que bueno. Hola. Everybody let me know if the audio sounds okay and the video. Today, I am low energy. I went to bed last night very excited about what I was going to show you today. And for some reason, I just could not fall asleep until 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. So if I'm normally at like 150 out of 100, thank you, John. I'm like at half speed, which may work well because today I'm going to show you something that I think is going to go down in a couple ways as a monumental day. Number one, it's nice that it works out to be August 1st, 2025. Easy to remember. This is something that I think is the culmination of all my years of WordPress. And I don't really think I'm exaggerating to say this because not only is the methodology that I've been using to create the stuff that I'm going to show you just mind-blowing, but the synchronicities are really just also, for those of you who believe in that kind of stuff. Yesterday I had a call with a longtime client, very favorable client of mine, as well as a couple new clients. And I was able to, I don't know how to say this, but like directly connect everything that I'm showing you here to what they had suddenly felt compelled to call me about. And these things happen to me all the time. There's several others of you who are doing the same thing with me. I know, John, you and I have been talking about something for your business, but many, many others have contacted me. And so in what I'm going to show you today, I'm going to be able to go at a kind of a lower, less manic expense. My voice is tuned up. I'm going to demonstrate step for step my thought process and where this goes. But this is actually live, ready for beta. And I say ready for beta, like I believe that for those of you who are interested in doing so, and those of you who are either on the startup plan or the pro plan, or want to get in on the minute launch system, I'm going to be able to make it available with the idea that I'm going to put a beta tag on this, because there's still a lot of components of this that require us to interact together. I don't want anybody to think like, oh, Spence, this is 100% production ready. I'm doing stuff minute by minute that is just like, if you had a really smart friend and you asked them to do quadruple backflips off a cliff and land on one pinky, and you're like, there's no way it's going to work. And then it does it. Your head sort of expands and sometimes feels like it's going to blow up. And that's what's going on here. So without further ado, let me also say, I'm going to turn off my other systems. I have learned, I'm using Fluent CRM. I've learned that it takes over an hour to get my list notified because it's doing 7 emails per second. And apparently there's 1,960 people who have not gotten their email yet out of my list. So they're just going to have to come on later. That could be why there's only a couple folks in here live right now. I'll send stuff out earlier from now on. All right, let's do this. I'm going to switch the stage. And I want to do this. I want to do a couple things. So today, forgive me, but I'm giving you advance notice. This is going to be like a step-by-step stream of consciousness. Many of you have kind of seen or talked to me about some of these things, but I'm going to talk to you as if you've never seen this stuff at all, in order to kind of like get the whole story, okay? So I'm going to add a new share screen. And again, live without a net, There's nothing about what I'm going to show you today that I have pre-prepared. I literally just prefer to do it this way. I'm going to try this. And I'm going to try to set up my stage a little bit this way too, because if this becomes too small, you guys let me know. But I'm setting up my desktop in a way that I think is going to give me some flexibility, and I should be able to see kind of what's going on. Looks reasonable. Okay. Let's start out with a concept that is, again, part of what we've talked about before, but that is really a difference. I'm going to go to this mode for a second. It's really a difference for WordPress going forward for running the business. Yesterday, one of the conversations that I had led me to the metaphors that I've been using in terms of what should I call this thing? And one of the things I think I want to suggest to you is that the best part about everything that I'm doing here versus any of the other tools that are available, and trust me, they are going to be, this could be like Groundhog Day. And good morning. Good morning, Stuart. Hopefully, Stuart, everything went well for you yesterday and so forth. If you think of WordPress as an operating system, we have on PC, we have, the Windows operating system. We have on Mac, OS X. We have on mobile device, iOS, Android, Google. Somebody probably uses the Windows mobile. I don't know who, but the point is, think of WordPress as an operating system. Now, I'm old enough to remember that in the early days of Windows, Windows 95 and Windows 2000 and now we're at Windows 11. They renamed or whatever. It looks exactly like OS X. I mean, it's really hard to tell the difference. And the reason is the same reason that the iPhone kind of looks the same as a metaphor to Android and whatever. We used to have 500 different phones. There was a time like Nokia was the leader in the market, and they had like 47 different phones. It was like Swatch watches. They just always came out with a different style. And there was Trios and Blackberries. And then at some point, everybody decided, kind of in the same way, like USB, that we really need just a standard thing. And, you have a different picture on yours, but it looks like this shape. I have like a nice sunset from San Diego. You might have a different picture. But what happens is that shape is an interface, a metaphor that really works for getting stuff done. Similarly, with our desktops or our laptops, we have a bunch of metaphors that we've all agreed upon are just more useful to get stuff done. We were at one point all enamored with the different shapes and the sizes and the colors, and everybody was like Gold Rush fighting for what's the shape? Is it going to look like a keyboard? No. Apple, Steve Jobs says, no way. Bye-bye, BlackBerry RIM. You lose. Well, they didn't lose for a couple years later, but nobody uses a BlackBerry anymore. It's gone. Flip phones, bye-bye. Nextel, chirp, chirp, bye-bye. All the Nokia, cool, bye-bye. Okay. WordPress as an operating system offers some very unique benefits compared to the outside world. And these benefits align with one of the topics that's really essential to everything I'm doing, and I just alluded to, when it comes to synchronicity, when it comes to, quite frankly, metaphysics, how the universe, how our physical world, how interactions with human work. I am of the school of thought that this, quite frankly, is just a giant simulation that we're all in some kind of grandiose scheme of having a human experience. And if you do go for that philosophy, or even if you don't, the concept is still the same, that we essentially are directing our human energy into an outcome. I believe that if all of us just follow the golden rule, you can be wealthy as you want to be, as long as you don't cause harm to other people, right? Do unto others. So in a world where capitalism is unfortunately sometimes absconded for nefarious things, or for, Jesus, how many things do you need? How much money do you need? I believe everybody can win. My one-on-one thing with you and you to your clients is that I'm providing you a system that I believe really, truly at the heart of it is not about how rich I'm going to get or even how rich you're going to get. It's about how can we provide something that counterbalances the efforts of what's happening now in SaaS, in open hosted stuff. And what do I mean by that? Well, 20 years ago almost, when I started working in WordPress, it was because the billionaire Mark Andreessen had put about $100 million of investor money into this platform, Ning. I've talked about this forever. And I found 12,500 people who were lovely human beings who really just wanted to share and save and interact with each other. And the Ning platform, the operating system, was offered as a way to do that. But what happened was the millionaire billionaires decided they weren't too happy when they couldn't control every single aspect of what happened or monetize it for themselves. So they shut the whole thing down. They kicked everybody off. We see this happening, ironically, even more today. The politics of the world, I'm not going to get political, but the politics of the world today and the power structures of the world are such that if you have anything that you want to publicly save or share or interact with or do, as soon as you place it into one of these online SaaS services, or even in a situation where you thought was safe, you have subjected yourself to being doxxed or outed, being criticized or publicly embarrassed. You're subject to literally being shut down as a business. We don't like the way you're sending these things or what you're talking about or your politics or your skin color or your race, your religion, anything. Bye-bye. So WordPress as an operating system running on a box that you or your clients own and control is really fundamental. And it's ironic because when I do the woo-woo, like all these synchronicities happen to me. Many of you are synchronicities with me, but like what happened in 20 years ago time, I'm really amazed has come back full circle, because now one of the best benefits of what I'm going to show you today is that all of the third-party tools, all the third-party benefits, all of the most modern stuff can run on this operating system. But here's the problem that I also am solving. Along the way of the last 20 years, WordPress, being an open source system, had everybody with a leader that just had blinders on. Matt Mullenweg is a good human being, I'm sure, at some level. I interacted with him a few times personally. But he had blinders on as to how this metaphor is supposed to work. Because if you think of in the early days, some of you guys are as old as me. When when the internet started getting some traction, there was a thing called Macromedia Flash. And it was just this really, really amazing, cool visual design system that, for better or worse, when you loaded something like a Chinese food restaurant menu, good morning, Angelina, it would take like 3 minutes at 128 kilobit modem speed to load the menu. But we didn't care, because once it finally made its way to being on the screen, it was fully interactive. It was fully animated. So people would like quite literally like start opening a website, go make breakfast, lunch, dinner, come back later, and oh, finally the menu was loaded. Steve Jobs put a knife in the back of that because he said Macromedia is not going to run on iOS or OS X. And I think that was a good decision at the time, but his decision was capitalistic. But the point I'm making is the metaphor, the interface, the interaction was really super sexy to many of us. And it later got replaced with what I think was the better choice, which is HTML5. Point being, when you have an operating system like WordPress, the last 18 to 20 years have been people with blinders on looking at it like it all has to be on a web page with menus and this and this and this and this. And the truth is, it really never needed to be that. It always had the tools to do all of the things to a certain degree that we could do on mobile devices or that we could do on custom apps. We just were missing some of the pieces. So concept 2, besides the ownership and control of a box in a world where you and your clients can have 100% all the guarantees of a human being that I'm doing unto you as I wish for you to do unto me, and nobody can come and take this away, crush you, ruin your business. Number 2, an operating system that has all the hardware and software capabilities you need, but it doesn't have to look and act like everything you've been sold. And one of the reasons behind that is number 3. The way that people are interacting and finding stuff, your products, your services, and so forth, has changed in such a fundamental way since the AI is now kicked in. And let's just say 2025. that all of the lies of the past from companies like Google have been revealed. Spence, what do you mean? Well, for example, Google for all these decades lied to us and said, you must follow the algorithm and put all these keywords in and do this so we can keep the list and organize it of who's the most popular. And it was just a gimmick, like paying a friend of yours to introduce you to people instead of just working on yourself and making yourself more likable. And the reason it's been revealed is because AI now, an agentic front person, if you will, goes out after knowing who you are and finds all the stuff you want. It doesn't care about keywords. It doesn't care about how pretty the website is for the Chinese food. It knows you better than you know yourself based upon everything you've allowed it to know about your profile. And that is what we are seeing already. Not just on a browser of a computer or a desktop or a laptop, mobile or tablet, but in your hearing aids, on your phone, in your eyeglasses. Having agentic tools that work for people is the new metaphor. It's the thing that's going to, as I'm going to share with you, creates the fork in the road between the humanity outcome we all really will benefit from and a dystopian nightmare. Because what is happening immediately, and you guys may or may not see it happening, so I'm here to sound the warning. There was a tsunami created by an earthquake of AI that is racing towards the coastline. And it is going to swallow up everything that you ever knew when it gets here. And you can see it if you're in the business like I am, and hopefully you guys are paying attention too. But what is happening is not just Google has said, oh, screw it. We don't need search results because the first result is always AI anyway. But what's happening is things like 2 days ago, Delta Airlines announced they're trying AI dynamic pricing. Now, imagine this, and we're going to compare this to what I'm going to show you. Imagine this nefarious possibility. Every one of the public services that you rely on, transportation, banking, food, gas, electricity, anything, they know everything about you because the politics of the world allow, unfortunately, our government to think that our, private government records are available to corporations, which that's just factually happening. They see, oh, Spence had a good year this year. Let's look at his tax returns. Delta Airlines is testing with 26% of its customers. It says, let's dynamically change all of the prices for him to get a ticket. Now, you'd think that being follow the golden rule, that Delta would be like, oh, let's lower the prices because Spence is a great guy. Wrong. Spence's pricing just dynamically went up to some ungodly number. But this isn't applied just to wealthy people or people that have, white collar jobs. This is applied to everybody. Like right now, China sort of has this thing with the red, green, yellow with the phone. Like you can participate or not in society based upon what the governmental party says. Well, imagine a dynamic pricing system and the government data and everything else about your whole history, including your tax returns, your banking, your employer, everything, your health, your medical is revealed. And now dynamically, these companies are adjusting what it costs you to buy food or gas or the interest rate on your mortgage, if you can even get a mortgage and stuff. That is the nefarious side of what's happening. Well, what do we do to counter that? What I suggest is, having lived through the Napster era and lots of other counterculture stuff. I mean, I'm not 80, I'm 58 on the way to 59. We did things that solved that problem as a group of individuals. Like, for example, Sean Fanning and Napster broke the RIAA, the Recording Industry of America's chokehold on music. And some might argue that that didn't work out well for artists, but I argue it balanced out the power. Kim.com, good morning. Kim.com broke the chokehold that the Hollywood movie industry had on sharing video stuff and so forth. What I'm saying here is not to act like, we're Robin Hood robbing from the king and stuff, but rather to say, In a world where everything that you do online is subjecting you or your clients to all this risk and everything else, we have an operating system and we can choose a metaphor that allows us to use the leverage of this amazing tool one by one for the good of humanity. We can counterbalance this by offering that. And since the AI agents are going to be doing most of the interconnectivity, it's really, until they change the way the internet works, it's really something that can work on par. You and I all have the same amount of power as a multi-billion-dollar corporation today. Spence, at his little agentic coding cubby here, I have 10,000 agentic coding people on my team. I quite literally, that's why I'm so freaked out, because what I'm going to show you, and I promise we're going to get through this, it's like I couldn't have built this in under a couple of years before. I've been able to build it in the last couple of weeks. And that's not like daily grinding away. I'm saying like each time I feed something in, I'm amazed. So the primary things I've talked about lead to this. Let's talk about the business model. I originally had a focus on individuals who wanted to do cool stuff with WordPress. That meant people cared to go down to the flea market, buy a bunch of random parts, and go home and start assembling stuff in their garage. Whether they were the implementer or end user wasn't really as big of a deal, because everybody had to roll up their sleeves and get the tools and the hammer and get dirty. Then it moved into a world where some of the tools that are intermediary tools, like the page builders and so forth, made it possible for many of you to build stuff as an intermediary business and service the needs of clients. And it didn't mean you were experts in coding or development. It just meant you were really, really capable. Right. Vibe coding. We're going to talk about that. Angelina, that's a good point. And we're going to talk about that in a second, coming back to WordPress. So I'm going to hold that thought. So what it meant is that whether or not you were doing it for yourself or for others, you use the intermediary tools to build stuff faster, right? Like your Divi, your Beaver Builder, your Elementor, the ACF Pro, and so forth. But that in of itself became a bit of a trap, because what we were talking about was, holy cow, there's 80,000 different competing things, none of which are uniformly being curated. And so that's where you get the front panel on WP Launchify, which is the lady going like this because she's got two problems, right? Shiny ball syndrome. I want it all. But she's got the problem of Frankenstein monster, right? I kind of call it like the Frankenstein monster is caused by shiny ball syndrome, and then you try to cure Frankenstein with the little old lady swallowed a fly, and you end up swallowed a fly, so you swallow a spider, swallowed a bird to catch a spider, and so on and so forth. And that's how many of you became my clients and customers. But going forward, it's the same thing. The metaphors of the tools under the hood in the operating system can remain, but we're going to change the way we interact with it, because now we're going to use the agentic tool to empower you and your clients. And what we're going to sell now, the price comes way down in comparison to the value, because nobody is impressed in a world of agentic tools with like, look, it's parallax. Look, it's like a Chinese food menu that it's an hour to load. And I'm going to, nobody cares anymore. Nobody. And if you do want to make beautiful stuff, as I'm going to show you, the new method, which is better, faster, cheaper, and more extensible, is we take the underlying theme of Cadence and the other tools that have been curated in the software bundle or even in the Minute Launch AI, and we use it as a magnetic whiteboard onto which we have the AI generate instantly all of the stuff in the look and the feel of the underlying thing. Okay. That means that I can have I think it was Angelina, but it was Marie or something. I gave this example to, and we were joking about it, and they were like laughing because it's true. It's kind of like a golden rule version of multi-level marketing. I am providing wholesale, a system, a framework for you as a non-technical person, for yourself or for your clients, to have what I'm going to show you starting at $25 a month, $250 a year per person. Go up to the full software bundle for persons who run a site with all the other features and things that you need, plus my support at $97 or $970. You can go up to an agency, $297 for 10 sites or $29.70. And you can add as much or as little personal hands-on help. But in between, are now what really is the full circle to me. The a la carte applications, the personal web apps that work in an interface that I'm also going to show you, brings all of this down to a level of, oh my God, why didn't they do this in the original time? Okay. I've given you a great lead up. I want to comment on Marie's thing. And then the last half hour or so, I'm going to show you this. So Angelina, I'm sorry. With Angelina's comment, here's the difference between what I'm going to show you and vibe coding in any outside framework. I have been experimenting with many of you and directly using all the amazing tools. Go back to my original comment of where this has to live after you vibe coded. Also, let's talk about what I'm going to probably be teaching, and whether it's free or it's for sale, it doesn't matter. I have been building processes, because I'm going to borrow from my Canadian friend Rob Cairns, processes that allow me to use these agentic tools, and you will too, so that you get maximum results, benefits, without all of the things that happen when you use an agentic tool or just an LLM agent. What is the thing that goes wrong? If you build a single file solution and you ask it to perfect it, 9 out of 10 times you'll get what you want. If you ask it to keep adding features and go into multi-files and more, at some point it loses its mind, erases everything, and runs away with your dog or your girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever. And you're like, what just happened? Through all this trial and error, I have built processes that allow me to guarantee that we can make crazy, powerful stuff in a way that won't run away from you or me. And it's completely modular. So there's going to be an entire marketplace of, I was saying before, razor blades to go on my handle, but John and others have said they like personal web apps to go on top of this operating system, the WordPress minute launch AI operating system. Okay. But under the hood, it's still WordPress. It's still IKEA. You can have a white labeled, crazy, powerful custom solution for you as your main site or all of your customers and clients. And we can build, or you can build with what I'm going to show you, a generator, anything that will snap in there because the underlying system is designed and curated to make it work. Compare that to, if you use a vibe coding tool, you will sometimes get lucky. Julie Clark, I've been working with for a couple months. We've got a great solution on WordPress. She is so smart. She went off and used one of these other tools and vibe coded what looked like an amazing thing. The problem was it was built on a bunch of components that are hosted wherever God knows she's going to host them. And she or I do not know how to work with those things. Like, I am not proficient at Node.js or React natively. I can do it in the WordPress context, but not there. It's like somebody who can speak a couple words of Japanese, but you really, can't write a book in Japanese. You can make one thing happen like, oh my God, I accidentally baked a beef Wellington just like Gordon Ramsay. But try to make a restaurant making that regularly, or come back and add more features onto that. And suddenly you realize like it was all basically for naught, because it's not a system. It's not a reliable business system. It's a vibe coding magic trick that you got lucky once. Whereas what we can do here, this is under the hood, the same components. We are just changing whether we go down to the factory and dig holes with shovels, or we tell the robots what to do for us. Okay. If you guys have questions, interrupt me. But what I want you to understand from all of this, several of you and I have been already talking about this. The business opportunities here are that I am offering to everybody, where I could not do this before, a direct joint venture partnership opportunity. The golden rule multi-level marketing is this. I now have a platform, operating system. I have the ability to literally crank out custom solutions, white label branded, for your business ideas, your network. Let's say you have 5 people, 500, 5,000, 50,000 people. They're all potentially customers of what is built, especially because they would have a use for either the mobile or desktop version of the device to save, share, interact with their own stuff in a way that keeps them out of the public realm, but allows new peer-to-peer opportunities. I am willing for all of you to do, if the business holds water, all the custom development stuff of something that I end up getting to sell the base product. You get to sell the things on top of it. And together, we make a really good partnership, because what does it do for me? I grow a network of recurring revenue customers who, let's be honest, once they get their stuff into their devices and it does such amazing things for them, they're not leaving anytime soon. And even though WordPress is under the hood, this is not about building pretty websites. Okay. You guys have been really patient. Let's share. Let me see if this is better. Nope, that's about the same. Okay, so I'm going to just change the ratio of this. Let's walk through step by step. And I'm going to do this without, like, there may be mistakes, so too bad for you. Welcome to an interface that probably looks familiar to you. By the way, worth mentioning, I can do this just as easily. So this looks like any modern mobile phone, mobile tablet interface, right? It doesn't look like a WordPress theme per se, but it could. But what it is it's a functional mobile interface with real live controls. Now, ironically, to me, the last 5 or 6 years, everybody in Buddy Boss was spending a fortune, tens of thousands of dollars to try to get mobile apps. And I was saying to everybody, you don't need this anyway, because ultimately what you're doing is just showing a mobile app on a web page. There's nothing unique about it. You don't need to go to Apple or to Android or anything else and spend a fortune. We could just show them the website. But the concept that I want you to understand from this is, as an interface, this solves a multitude of the problems many of us have, both for your own website as well as those for your clients. Why? On the back end of this, let's actually just manually go back there. I built a tool as part of this whole system, the plugin interface, a very sexy name. This is an app manager. I'm going to walk you through this, but the basic idea is, just like on your iPhone or something else, we can display any kind of application, web page, things we built that plugs in or uses outside tools. And we can just make it look like we want. And we can even make it better, because I've built other tools in as also additional apps. Like, for example, let's start with an idea. If I go to the media library and use the new icon import tool that uses third-party services, and I want to find something that's unicorn. Okay, I can search for public domain, free to use, bold, line objects of unicorns. Okay, why? I'm going to import this to my media library. This could be me or a client into my box. Why? Because on my particular device, when I customize this, I want to go ahead and I want to add in a new app. This new app could go to something that's running code here, or it could go to a website like unicorns.com. Is there such a thing? I do not know. Unicorn.com. Let's see if there's even a website. Just okay. Silly, but I want to do this. We're going to go, and this is like theoretically what we're going to make an app out of, right? So we can either sync the existing plugins or add a new app here. And I'm going to say, here's the target URL, all about unicorns. There's nothing magic about this. And by the way, as I'll show you in a second, we can also have the AI do this for us. So I'm going to say, if I use this, it's not an internal app. I don't have to hide the admin menu. I'm going to add a featured image, which I just put into my library for free from the external source of Noun Project. Publish. Now I can rearrange the order of this and drag it around, but the bottom line is, what do I get? I get a really simple web app about unicorns. I got to give it a name if I want unicorns. And now, as an end user, what am I not distracted by? I'm not distracted by the flip phone or the BlackBerry Trio or the you know, all the buttons or stuff. I don't prevent people from using the regular website. The regular website is still here, but for most people, if I just want to look at the unicorn content, the unicorn website was unhappy. So I'm going to change this to WP Launchify, because I know that's not unhappy. Sometimes sites say you're not allowed to connect to me remotely. Okay. So if I make unicorns into WP Launchify, we've got a situation where just a simple web app of presenting content locally or otherwise. This isn't by itself remarkable, but the interface allows us to have custom apps that include the powerful features that are otherwise really difficult for normal people. Now, I'm speaking to like John, for example, or many of you. Stuart understands this too. I'm a practitioner and I need a business solution, and it's really difficult for me to set up. What is an AI? What's it? Okay. Imagine we want to have something that allows us to work on our site versus having a conversation and creating stuff. We can build together into this these custom tools that use either commands or chats. So here's an example of a live connected AI. I am using the open router connectivity so that without this customer having to do anything, they've got a command chat that lets them use simple commands, verbal or typing, to manage or do different things on the site, including creating content. So for example, if I just said or typed list plugins and I was the administrator, I now can see all of the plugins on the site, and I can either directly manage them, or you can see like contact form 7, right? I can just tell it or say to it, deactivate contact form 7 plugin. Now, I'm not saying this is faster, better, easier, but sorry, I clicked the record button when I should have done the command button. But what I am saying is, look, I was able to very quickly just give it a command to remove the activation of contact form 7. Imagine with your software bundle or adding new stuff, you just say, add the SEO Lite plugin, add launch kit, update WordPress, do this, do that. We don't need to go into the dashboard anymore. We have tools to do it. Like I'm on this thing, so it should work, but let's see. List themes. There's only one theme on the site. But the idea is, look, I just talk to it and it lists out the theme. And if I want to click, I can open and as an admin still manage it. But isn't that easier when we've created a command and control structure to talk to an AI helper that understands everything on the back end, right? So let's do that. List last 5 posts. I could say it or type it. I'm just typing it because whatever. Look, I've got all my posts, right? Now, what if I wanted to share a feed for free or otherwise, right? Here's some helper information, right? Create a feed. That's the syntax of last 5 posts. What's that going to do? That's going to create something that the end user who's using this device can share with a peer, with their own LLM, or with the actual intermediary like you, site owner. So this is content that they've created, saved or shared, particular to them, that for free, they can create a public feed that has a default expiration date, but we can also say for how long. We can say for 24 hours, for 38 hours, whatever, and we can always revoke it. Now, why is this awesome? Well, look at this. I've got the posts that I created on this site, and if I was using a third-party system, which everybody's going to have, like a Claude or Perplexity, I could say, give me your impression and an executive report of what was in the content of this feed, okay? So a third-party tool connecting to this prompt is able to get that feed because it's publicly available from this person's site or from you as an intermediary and intermingle what they're doing. So here's some use cases. Stuart's here. We're working with practitioners that tell people which supplements to take, but they've got an audience of people who all have their own complaints, as I'll show you in a second, who are going to use this tool to keep a journal or a log of, I feel pretty, I feel great, I took this, I did that. Imagine there's 1,000 clients for every practitioner and 2,500 practitioners. We've got like 1 million pieces of data of what works, what doesn't, and they can selectively share it or automatically share it according to their choice with the home base, and the home base can take it out. But even here, their doctor, everybody's doctor is going to have the ability to interact this way. So if I have a diary on this device, this is one of the selling points. your clients, your intermediaries can all have these tools that collect data specifically and then be able to selectively share it in this new metaphor. And by the way, there's two terms to know about: LLM text or MCP. LLM text is comparable to RSS feed. It's a static quantity of data based on a query. MCP, Model Context Protocol, is like API. Instead of humans making queries through a direct connection to the database, an MCP gives an agentic tool access like this does. Now look what it did for me. It just, a third-party tool got access to my private data specifically the way I wanted for a certain time, able to interact. But you're probably saying like, okay, yeah, whatever. There's more that it can do. It can create content, of course, right? So we've seen this before, but create a product priced at $82 about how to use AI with WordPress. Let's see what it does. Okay. We've got a command that allows us to quite literally just create anything that we need: products, custom post type, blog posts, journal entries, and so forth. This is not the main interface for all of those things, but this is like a direct connection to that capability, right? So in this case, it might take a second because I'm showing the live results. I have another menu item that I was testing that will allow us to say to the person, I'll get back to you when it's ready. But this probably only takes like 2 seconds. You've seen this last time. So this isn't new, but the interface, you'll notice from the last time I've spoken to you, has completely changed into something that, if again, while we're doing this, if I was in a mobile device, okay, I'm able to interact with this stupid simple. I didn't need all of those buttons. I didn't need all of that clankety clank stuff. Look, it created the product. And believe me, we've just got it started. So without knowing anything about WooCommerce or anything, and I'm a practitioner or I'm a end user, I'm a fractional CMO, I can create marketing content. I can create products. I can have all of the data filled out automatically. Look, it automatically categorized it. It created the tags. It created all the images. It put the featured image in place, added those to my media library. It added the price. It's done. And we already know that when we do this way, that a product with that link, with that ID, is a live product. So this is a product ready to buy. Okay. I wouldn't sell it on this page, but even if we did use the default page, that's ready to buy. There's nothing else to it. So the benefit of this is that we now have an interface that allows us to do all those, oh my God, slide and bell and whistle stuff, but to do it super duper simple without having to go to the back end, so that as an end user, I really get the results I want. Vibe press, maybe. I'm going to tell you about the vibe coding part because that is relevant. But vibe coding into this, let's actually talk about it. That's my command and control center. That's for running the site, creating content, doing stuff that I need done, like walkie-talkie. John, I'm speaking to you, but many of you use, like I've shown you guys, external tools. Like, look, it's Claude or Perplexity or, all the outside chats. They all have a metaphor: projects, chat history, context, personality. We don't need to go outside of there for that. We can build that inside of here. Okay. So this is a first iteration of a chat that has contextual awareness of the stuff that we've done here. Okay. We could do it by voice or typing. So, good morning. How are you feeling? This works great, obviously, in your mobile device. Good morning. How are you feeling? This uses a connection to Open Router or to any of the other popular LLMs. Let me ask it a question. Do you remember that we were talking about coding WordPress plugins? Okay. Now, what if I wanted to program it with specific contextual information? I've got a history of everything I ever talked to it about here. So yesterday, I was talking to it about building some WordPress plugins, in particular this Hello World banner. Let's give it that context so that it knows specifically. Well, what I particularly mean is, remember that Hello World banner plugin we made? Do you remember we had a chat about a plugin with a Hello World banner? By the way, if this doesn't work, it's not because it doesn't work. It's because I'm still teaching it. See, it's kind of choking on this. So let's ask it a question. Can you list out the conversations we had or chats about plugins? And I'm going to tell you, if this doesn't work, like I say, I have no net, but it's just because literally I started this last evening. Well, okay. It's not happy with that. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to suggest to you what I'm doing with this is I'm training and teaching it. And this is from last night to this morning, how to use any context of past chats, but everything that you say and do with this, including, here's a very retro meta thing. I can develop plugins to work with the Minute Launch AI inside of this chat, as well as marketing, product creation, and more. So let's do this. Create a WordPress plugin that's a single file that says hello world at the top and flashes. Okay. It can code, it has Python enabled and it's CSV import capable so that it can work with the normal tools like an outside, but inside the person's site. And then it's saving and sharing that as we wish with anybody else in the way I just described for you, which means that any individual is empowered. So this just created a couple methods, right? A plugin, it gave us additional CSS style theme, but let's tell it, I want that all as a single file. Can you please give me a single file plugin? I can tell it just like a regular chat exactly what I need it to do, including fix things up differently. So if it follows my methods, it's going to build this all into one file, which is the way we want it. Because in this case, a single file is, like I mentioned earlier, very easy to iterate on without it breaking along the way. As soon as you get into multiple parts, these things kind of go out of their mind. So here is a ready to use plugin that I can copy the code and paste it in to what I'm going to have is like a plugin manager that allows this, or download as a separate file. But you'll notice I didn't have to go to an outside service. And if we add the context of things that it's built in the past, like from past chats, we have a system that allows us to really do some crazy stuff. We can also attach any of the content that we want, like, for example, from the media library. We can upload, let's upload something about, here's a CSV report about orders from a client of mine. I'm going to say, take the file that I just uploaded and give me an executive report of my top 10 orders by amount listed from most to least. So I uploaded a CSV file. I gave it the ability to unpack it and analyze it. Let's see what it'll do with it. You can imagine, this is interesting. The last version of this, so I'm going to apologize, but not apologize. The last version of this, before I started doing the contextual stuff, worked to unpack this and make it. I'm going to need to continue training, but I'm just going to leave this as the intent here is I've loaded tools like Python and CSV analysis and so forth, so that it's able to use either past content or associated attachments to do all of the things of an outside LLM. I also want to show you, just by way of reference, if we were to go to the back end, this is important. Every single thing in our chat history is saved and is available for us to use as context. So I'm going to actually show you back here from last evening. Here's where I did the same thing, and it worked fine before I modified the file to add this other contextual stuff. So I gave it the same file. That's the wrong one. I gave it the file about the top 10. Let's see if it can pull it up for me. Here's the conversation data. One of these actually did it. So hold on. If not, I'm going to carry on. It's there. I'll give it one more shot. Hold on, because you guys know that I love to do this. Look at this one. I'll find it. I'm not going to waste the time because I don't know why I'm not able to find that one. But let's just say for conversation purposes, because I want to keep moving on this. This is just a concept where I'm improving its capability. But the important part is in an interface with your clients, you not having to add something. We have command AI connection. We have AI chat connection. We have the ability to process files and add tools. We have contextual memory, everything you would normally pay for. But let's do something fun. Let's say that you've got a customer base and one of the things that they need to do is track a log or journal. We have the ability to instantly make applications that do cool stuff. Like, for example, a mood tracker. Because we've got the operating system, the framework, we can make it look and feel like anything we want. In fact, anything that's a popular app in the iPhone store or on an operating system, we can have work here, right? So I feel pretty. I feel pretty. I'm so happy. Okay. I say, I'm really happy. I save my mood. I've added to my logs, right? This is important. Why? Well, for me, I could just talk all day long or have a check conversation. It can save all the information about what I'm taking, what I'm doing, if I need supplements, if I'm doing marketing, if I have it doing errands for me. This is an example of an app that saves the custom data in this private box, but then makes it available both for the internal AI to use, but also to share externally. So here's my mood tracker. Let's do like we did before, which is let's do an MCP connection that we either download or we can do an AI format. Either way, if I go to another tool like a Chat GPT, let's say, or if the doctor had the particular box, I'd say like, as a professional therapist, tell me what you think about what my mood tracker has been saying. Okay, this is what your doctor or therapist might be using with or without this tool. Here's the data file in a variety of formats, right? It could be in a text file or a JSON. I'm going to try it as a JSON. If not, we'll do it in the other format, but I think the JSON file should work. Okay. Now your therapist's agentic tool is looking at your stuff and it's going to, I don't know if you can see this because it's a little small, but it's going to be telling you back what it is that is up. Okay. And that's the whole idea. Tell me if this is too small, the text. I feel like it's too small, but I don't know how to make it huger there. Okay. So this is like, it's giving the opinions based upon the specific data that I was able to share as a client of yours or you through a control system that I own. I control. The data's mine. It's not hosted on a website. Whether this is the size of the clothing or pictures of me privately undressed or my scar on my private areas, does not matter. I control the data and I have an app that you, with my help or otherwise, can build to do stuff. Let's do another one. My great friend here, the client Fred, he's got a website and this is Fred's website embedded in. So again, you can have all your old content living and existing. Fred's got a need we're talking about for safety reports for schools. Okay. So the schools need many, many instances of like a report generated that shows what's being done, when, where, and why, right? The actual report is on a page at the moment. And we talked about a minute ago how if, I think it's on, let's go to the back end. Let's see. I think it's on a page called safety report. Safety form. Okay. So if we were to look at this page, and we can put this on the front end too, somebody can fill out a checklist, right? Oh, item 1, item 2, item 3. It's all good. You know, Susie Jones classroom 1, 2, 3, 4. Submit the report. Why? Because that allows whoever it is that's compiling this data to have aggregation reports, 2 reports here that can be exported to an LLM from the school system or otherwise that explain exactly what's going on, when, where, and why. So I say the same thing. Give me a summary of the safety of this school based on these reports. Okay. And so this tool, we add in, the safety report data, or it's directly piped to it. And it's able to do what it needs to do with that content, right? Obviously, this is the new way of doing things. So when I referred earlier to, well, guess what's not happening? No people are browsing websites for this, right? This is data interacting with other data through an agentic partner who's able to give and take what it needs. Now let's go to a popular thing like media. I created the Media Hub one way. There's now the Media Hub P2P with sharing selling. This one is going to blow you guys away. So if I were to go for right now, I'm going to go to another site where I can show you 2. You can maybe see this, Media Hub 1 and Media Hub 2. Okay. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to have 2 sites that I know are able to share back and forth. Let's go to the admin. So I can demonstrate how this peer-to-peer works. What this means is not just media. We've got, let's do it in order, 1 and 2. This means any content. So images, links, bookmarks, chat data, whatever. I can have a media library, which you guys already know about from WordPress. I am able to add to this the capability of doing other tools. Like in Media Hub 2, I'm using this free tool called Filebird that expands the capability of me to organize my data into, if I wish, subfolders. Like, for example, here's all of my media content, but if I wanted to just segregate it into pictures of horses or ponies, yes, this is important. All of the things that we're doing with the operating system are based upon the core of WordPress. But because we're no longer putting blinders on, thinking that it has to be done in a certain way, I'm able to repurpose the core WordPress capabilities directly with these components that allow me and you and everybody else to build crazy cool features, drag and drop simple. Okay. It's all saved in the box of the person who has the one WordPress site. But now I'm going to show you, here's 2 WordPress users. This could be, for example, the implementer, who's you, and your clients, or it could be individuals one-to-one. So let's go here. I think I was working on, no, let's go here. Yeah. Okay. So it kind of is like this. This is a crappy drawing, but okay. Every person has a box in the sky. They can have these applications, razor blades, that attach to it. They can share to anybody else selectively, but any person can share with any person, peer-to-peer. Everybody has a secure box that their data they own, they control. They can literally control whether even if it's anonymous or not. Okay. So here I've got 2 sites. This site has an extra tool that lets me do things like, what if I took all of these pictures of ponies and I said, this is stuff that I want to share with my doctor. It's pictures of my pony. Or this is my therapist's data, or medical records, or this is OnlyFans for Spence, single dads OnlyFans. And I want to do for free or save or share this stuff. What I'm getting at is we have some new features peer-to-peer. Instead of one hub that connects one way, what if I just went to the Media Hub and I went to the settings and I created a new key for John Lawler. And I said, for John Lawler from Spence, I can call it whatever I want. I create a one-click peer-to-peer connection key that I can manage and control. I can revoke it at any time and so on and so forth, right? I can remove it. But this key, if I copy, see him on Media Hub 2, I'll go to Media Hub 1. Let's say this is John. He goes to his Media Hub, goes to settings and says, oh, I just got a key from somebody. I paste it in, or his AI agent will do this for him. Now he's got a connection to my site. He can use his media library with the component that I just said to refresh his remote media. And when he does, he will have access to my images, my links, my shared content, my AI stuff, anything I want to give him. Notice I can see the source. I can go to only things that were shared with me from that site. I didn't do anything yet, so that's why it's not shared with them. But the point is, I can filter now, and notice I can go peer-to-peer. I can have my site give stuff to Ann Stevenson. Ann Stevenson can give stuff to Marie. Marie can give to Dr. Hoover. Whatever. It doesn't make a difference because we have peer-to-peer, and notice we can either copy these files remotely, or we can use this button here that I hope you can see that says make it local, which means that as long as I'm in possession of permission, I can selectively grab and save stuff. This is for anybody who has their own box. So in this case, imagine all of your clients have their own mobile version, which by the way, it works perfectly awesome, running of this stuff, right? So if I go to ML Voice, I can run this on my mobile device or my desktop. And so I could take a key from any friend, anybody in the world who's running this. This is the important part. Any WordPress site owner could use this plugin by itself with this base and sell or share any of their stuff instantly. Now I said sell, notice. I just showed you sharing. Let's say I've got this awesome capability. I've got this awesome library. I've got this stuff that I can create. Doesn't it kind of make sense that I shouldn't have to worry about making products in WooCommerce, but I should have an easy way to just give a one-time or a subscription access to my stuff? So let's go to Media Hub 2, where I've actually got WooCommerce as part of the setup. This is going to come installed for anybody who gets the base AI tool, Minute Launch AI, the 25 a month, 250 a year. It will have WooCommerce subscriptions, launch flows, and this capacity. It will not have the CRM and stuff. That's bump it up to the full Minute Launch software, but it doesn't matter because this gives them everything they need to. Let's make some media products. I'm just a regular old person who I want to sell access to my stuff. Okay. So let's call it View My Ponies. When you say MLAI boxes, okay, I'm going to talk about the hosting network. Think of this as a platform with the hosting and the software and everything else included through my system. I'm going to talk about this. I am not giving out the platform for people to self-host, and I'll tell you why. But everything that runs on it can be created and used self-hosting. And I'm going to talk about this in a second, so I'll come back to that. Let's make a product, View My Ponies, and I'm going to charge $25 a month to look at only media content about my ponies, pictures, links, curated content, code, anything I make or have, or my AI wants to dole out live, like my recent How Am I Feeling stuff. I'll give you a 2-day free trial, and I'm going to say specific category of ponies. Ta-da. What have I just done? Without any interaction with WooCommerce products, although you saw a moment ago, I could just make a cool custom product. I've made the View My Ponies subscription product. And this is not only a live product, but it's actually ready to buy because this comes ready to go with Stripe and everything else. So Stripe, Google Pay, whatever. Somebody can sign up now. And by the way, this is not set up as the product page. I probably wouldn't use this product page, but this is the janky 2025 thing. It's not even Cadence. And it still works fine. It works awesome, right? Here's the View My Ponies, $25 a month, ready to buy. What I would probably do, because that's what we've talked about before, is I would probably, oh, I'm on this side here. What I would probably do is embed this somewhere else or use the direct to checkout link, which you guys know is already part of the minute launch system and so forth in WooCommerce. So if I went to products, that product I just made as a subscription, I can edit it or combine it with the thing that the AI does to make it a better product, a better looking product, a better looking sales page. But notice this is here anyway, okay? And if I want to add a featured image or change or edit it, it's all good to go. With launch flows, I can grab the direct checkout link, or now WooCommerce has that natively. So I am able to instantly create a subscription product without ever touching WooCommerce that allows me to sell time-limited access to content that I create so that somebody directly can browse it or use it, download it, or put it into their MCP and thereby get the benefit. Now, let's say I want more stuff and I'm on Media Hub 2 and I'm lazy, but I've got the internet and the minute launch system. I'm going to go into my Media Hub and use the new image import or data import tool. Let's say I want to get more cool stuff about ponies or sunsets, okay? Miniature ponies. I'm going to search for just images. And now I can selectively browse from any source I want content, and I can acquire it into my library. Either bulk select everything, or I can individually say, oh, what a cute image. I'm going to save this one. But this one I think is cute. I'm going to just hot link to it. I don't need to download it. I just want to use the link and have it in my media library. This would be something that I would use, for example, if I was in a situation where I'm at a live event. I can't talk to you right now. So I got a guy outside my window looking like he's lost. So I've got a situation here where if I have a media hub of somebody's thing and I know it's available to me, I don't necessarily need to put it into my library. I have a situation here where I can just quite literally hot link to it, right? And it will still end up in my library. Let's hot link to this one because it's kind of memorable, right? If I go to my media library, I now have that from the internet scraped stuff. And again, it's on everybody on their own to decide whether or not this, that, or the other thing is complying with whatever agreement somebody has. But if I go to the library, let's see. There is the pony picture. And notice, see, it's from tractorsupply.com. If at any time I change my mind and I want to make it local, it's easy. I could just go ahead and download it and I'm good to go, right? Add it to my library. I can even attach it to any particular things like the View My Ponies product. I've made it super easy for anybody to manage these kinds of relationships with sharing data peer-to-peer by leveraging, hold on one second. I'm on a live event. Is there something you need? Because you look like you're lost. Okay, no problem. But do you need some? I'm just a tenant, so you can do whatever you need, but do whatever you need to do. Okay, thanks. Okay. Sorry, that was the real world of the water guys showing up in my window. Okay, so trying to make it easier. Now, John's question, how or who is updating the boxes? Here's the deal. The business model of this, just like with WP Launchify, requires a certain amount of continuity with the tools and the software and everything else. Part of my business over the last couple of years has been this panel right here. Every one of you has been guilty of building a Frankenstein monster or having shiny ball syndrome. And that includes your hosting, okay? Because there's an infinite number of ways that your hosting can screw up any or all of these things. So I am not offering the Minute Launch AI system for self-hosting. I'm offering it through Rocket, but with the business model that I described that is very profitable for everybody. Because if you get it yourself as an end user, it's opening beta offer, $25 a month, $250 a year. I think I'm only going to offer it $250 a year right now because it's going to be 300 a year. But what I'm saying is for early adopters, if they put up the 250 per device, everything will have continuity. And here's the metaphor too. Apple had the iPhone store. Now they were really naughty maybe after a while, and they charged 30% for selling all the apps. But the point was, whether the apps were free or sell, they had to have the device as the base. Apple wasn't letting people make iPhones or make iPhone operating systems because they needed to control that entire system in order to make sure that there was certain continuity. However, underneath the hood of everything that I'm building here, you could stop using Minute Launch AI just by not using that one plugin with the interface, and all of the data, all of the stuff would continue to work. To prove my point, if you go back here to the dashboard, every single piece of data that we've created, from the product to the things, including even like, I just showed you the chat stuff, but if we went over here to the command stuff from the MLAI, so we've got MLAI chat history. This is the chats, but we've also got here, I'm on the wrong, no, I'm on the right thing. Hold on. Here's the plugin interface. I'm looking for, oh, it's the weird URL. Here's all of the commands. And then, of course, I've shown you the products and everything else. But the point is, all of the data, the WordPress site will continue to work as normal if you leave. So the benefit of doing this way, John, and anybody else who's looking at this question, is I need to, in order to make this work fast and furious, and I need to provide the Rocket.net hosting. And I'm doing that at the same diplomatic pricing, which is essentially somebody who comes along, and if we started out with the Minute Launch AI, it's $25,250 right now. Okay. That's a Rocket.net box with all the support directly from me. It has the core software, which is WordPress. I'm going to add WooCommerce subscriptions, maybe launch flows, maybe one or two other things, and then the basic Minute Launch capabilities at a core. If they need or want, they can bump up to the $97 a month and get the whole software bundle plus unlimited email support from me, which is what you guys use. You guys at $97 are getting all of the same as a Minute Launch AI box. They're the same box. It costs me $10 roughly per box, but that's the only way that I can ensure this works. Now, individual components. This part is really amazing, and I don't want to lose any of you guys on this, but I was just showing you that I was able to rethink this. And if we use the metaphor of plugins from WordPress combined with apps, we can generate apps for anything. I've already shown you a couple of them, but like, for example, I want to create just a tranquility app. Like there's $540 million a year from Calm. Okay. I can, in a matter of minutes, create an app that runs on this system in WordPress, because it's not iOS, it's WordPress, that does the same thing as the Calm app, right? I literally have a bakery to make this. And I can also have things that do all the marketing for this, the marketing campaigns, the newsletters, the emails, even the video content. And I can do this now for you or your clients like that. I'm going to show you a couple ideas with that. First of all, before I go there, let's look at the newsletter generator, okay? You've already got the content on the site. And by the way, let's do it like this because I'm showing you from the admin side. Let's do it as if it was the app, right? So if we go to newsletter generator, it'll look like this. Magic trick, we're just building an interface on the admin side that, by the way, when you're using it through the iPhone emulator, looks and feels just like you want it to look. It's even mobile responsive. There's no need for us to play these games of WordPress where we have to have a separate front and back end. It's stupid. But watch what I do. I'm going to do it in this mode so we can see both. I just want to make mixed content. This is a marketer's tool galore. I'm a fractional CMO and I want to create stuff for my client. I will make it about the Beatles. Okay. And I want to just say all time, I can choose different pre-made formats, and I make instantly an HTML5 newsletter ready to send of the live content. Here it is, ready to send or to be used inside of Fluent CRM. Now it's HTML5, so it'll work with any system. I don't like the color of that. Let's make it vibrant and colorful, right? Change the look and feel. I don't like the tone. I'm going to make it more friendly and casual. Okay. This tool, this newsletter generator, now saved me hours of time. But what if we wanted to do even more than that? What if I want to do like Anne said, she's got a business of research. I'm spending all my time collecting data and information from my clients, my patients, everybody else into their databases that get aggregated to mine. What if I was able to generate custom morning reports based upon various sources of information? So if I go here and I go to the settings screen, I connect it to an open router key, or that's included in the thing. I say, which websites do I want it to monitor? Here's 4 of them. What keywords do I want it to research? I'm going to show you the anonymizer in a second. Here's the prompt so that I get the results I want for the report. I can customize this any way I want. Pay attention. I save this as a report. Now, I've already done this. So for Anne, for 3 days, this has been running every day making a report. Let's take a look, first of all, at the report that it makes. Goes out, finds the executive summary information, puts it in a format that's just there for me to use and save and refer to in the future. But where it really shines is when I say to the tool, can I please have this in an MCP format so that if I go to another tool like ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity, I can say, like I did before, or directly say, make this into a gorgeous looking executive report website page so that somebody can use it and create a PDF or whatever. Okay. Point is, I then paste in the data that comes from my morning report, or I can have this generate the PDF directly. But it takes the data and it automatically at the receiving end is able to make something awesome. What's the business model for this? Curating a group of people's information and data and publishing it automatically, along with, by the way, what if we wanted to make video content? Well, I've been using Flow to do that. What if I wanted an awesome promotional video on the topic? I showed you this last week. We can just output the prompts through a specific template that I've generated with an engine that makes crazy cool videos about whatever topic, right? So in this case, for the school system, I said, make a video about, this new tool for the school, and you got a video that can be pulled in and used as the featured video. And I won't repeat on this, but Flow videos. I've got 11 Labs voices. I've got Veo to make images. I can make anything I want just by the prompts, but the prompts can be created automatically by the tool that any of your clients or you are running with the WordPress operating system. Here's my morning intelligence brief. Knock me over and call me silly. But how freaking awesome is this? And I didn't do anything. And this can be sent automatically through your fractional CMO or other as a campaign for myself or my client. Or this can be used to just generate a PDF download or whatever format you want. It's a piece of cake. Okay, anonymizer. Here's the scenario. I have got, for example, several clients that are in healthcare or law, and I'm sure you do too. Even for personal data, like my medical records. The scenario is, how is it that without necessarily using a private LLM, which is an option, by the way, one of the things for HIPAA compliant companies is I'm probably going to make an offer of they can pay extra for a special scenario where the tools we connect to are not public tools. They're private, llama-based or otherwise, LLMs, so that we know we're not sending any public data out to anything that could ever possibly be trained upon. But the anonymizer is Spencer's way of solving a problem that used to cost $195,000. It's a man in the middle tool, a person in the middle tool, where you can take any data you want, anonymize it on the way out. It removes any information that's relevant to figure out who it's about, and then gets the answers that it needs from the tool, brings the information back, and puts back in the original data with a mapping. Let's do this. Let's take, for example, let's make something, because I'm going to ask it. Give me 3-paragraph story with identifiable names, addresses, and phone numbers. Make it up. Okay. I don't know if it'll get confused to make this into a report, but it's going to give me some content so we can see the names and so forth, right? Yes, simple text. Okay, so Sarah Johnson, blah, blah, blah. Let's imagine we're using our tools here as the source instead of this made up stuff. Okay, I'm going to put this into the anonymizer demo. I'm going to say Sarah Johnson, and this would all be happening dynamically, of course. I anonymize it. It creates a session with the memory where it replaces Sarah with Carter, Johnson with Mason. It takes the addresses and it anonymizes it. And it gives me this content that I can either copy and paste or use this feed. Now I go to something like ChatGPT or another third-party tool, and I say, hey, give me your impressions about what's happening in the story and tell me what you think is the outcome of this. I don't know why I'd say that, but like, I'll give you the link. So it's sending the anonymized story. Okay, it's going to say, hey, this looks like it's anonymized. Don't worry about that. Oh, ChatGPT, that model is not happy. So what I'll do is I'll just take and I'll give it to another tool, or I'll just take the content like this because ChatGPT wants this. This is an old ChatGPT. Okay, point is, I'm just trying to demonstrate what it does. So it's telling you what happens. It's using the anonymized names and references, okay? And now let's say it sends it back. When it gets sent back, the anonymizer de-anonymizes, okay? So if I go back into here, in this case, I'm going to show you in the back end because I don't have a link to it. If I go into the de-anonymizer of that particular story, and the reason it doesn't have it is because I just didn't put a link to it. I say Sarah Johnson's story, I put in the results. This will now take it and using the map will give me back an answer that has the real names, the real numbers, the real whatever. And it keeps the log of all of those sessions so that in the future, my LLM knows everything that was ever done because it knows and is allowed to know what the real names and faces are. This is what I built. So for example, an attorney has depositions, they have trial transcripts, they have stuff, and there might be a protective order in place. Or a doctor is looking at patients' records and stuff. They don't need to know the name of the person in order to see whether the MRI report is right or not, or the address or the social security number. So this is how it works. And notice all of this data still in the private box of the individual. Now, in terms of you doing this as an intermediary, I would caution you not to take responsibility for all of your people's individual stuff, because that sort of puts you as the failure point. If something happens with your particular business, you got all these people's private data, but you could have their box talk to your box and give you the anonymized stuff, and your box talk back to them and they de-anonymize it themselves. So we've covered a lot of stuff, including, I do love how you can just have any content embedded from any source and so forth. Let's do one last thing. The meta version of what's happening here for generating these razor blades, these apps, is that it costs me virtually nothing to make stuff for you. And I'm willing to be partners with all of you to your audiences. So if you've got a couple hundred or more people who can buy, I'm going to be willing to make the presentation recorded, promoting and making white label versions of your stuff so that more people in your audience will buy the operating system hosted, which means I have a recurring revenue, but you're going to have your own custom thing on top of it. And I showed you a couple examples of this, but let's actually see like what we could do on a meta way. A meta way means, and again, this may or may not work because I'm still customizing it. If we use our tool inside, my intention is to build a plugin. Okay, so let's do this together. Build a single file WordPress plugin that shows different pictures of unicorns and acts like a slideshow. You can use the source of unsplash.com because they allow for it, or from our media library. Either way, make it simple, single file, ready to copy paste. Now, you don't know what the hell to ask this to make, but what I can easily do is make framework templates for plugins that you can just use that and change some of the stuff. Like I just showed you with Google Flow, I have one template that makes this awesome kind of exploding effect. We can have it immediately change the stuff for you just by you changing the words, okay? But here's an actual plugin, okay? I don't know if this is gonna work. Let's try it. I can do this, let's download it. I can do this in a couple different ways. One is I can open up the file and just copy and paste it. But what I intend to do is just to have something that will automatically go from this into the back end and load it, right? So instead of you having to worry about what I'm doing now, I'm going to put it as a Fluent snippet right now, just because it's easy to protect things. And you'll notice here's my other plugins or apps. Let's see what this does. Okay. Unicorn slideshow. And it probably, I'd have to ask it. Let's just ask it. How do I run it? Probably it said short code. So unicorn slideshow, okay. So I'm gonna create this, hopefully it works. It does. Activate it. And I would improve this and do something else, but let's do pages, add a page. Let's do unicorns, unicorn slideshow. I could sell or save or share this. Publish. Let's see what we got. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But the concept itself works. I can't vouch for whether or not the slideshow worked because we just asked it to do some stupid stuff. But what we could do is figure out as time goes on, make it better and so forth, right? So there probably is something wrong with this, like this unicorn slideshow does not work. Fix it. Give me code. What I intend to do is have this be kind of bulletproof so that I don't have to do this kind of weird stuff now that we're doing. This is literally less than 18 hours old, the chat part. So I'm still teaching it and adding tools to it, but I'm very comfortable that I'll be able to emulate exactly everything else that we have, right? So it's giving me a bunch of kind of nonsense stuff. Let's pretend we used a mature tool. Make a single file WordPress plugin that creates a slideshow of unicorns using Unsplash images for free. Okay. It'll get to the point of what I'm showing you here. That's why, again, being beta, I need the interaction of you guys as well as your clients to improve this. And if everybody buys into what I'm saying, the $250 is a ticket to the future. It's a one-year ticket for one site for you, your clients, or both, that allows you to participate live, and you will be able to do the things like we talked about where you say, Spence, could I get a thing that does this or a thing that does that? Because I'm really hungry to test what tools are possible to bring in, how to make it better. And since there's so much monetary capability in what we're talking about, like here's a service, by the way, called Rapid API. Rapid API connects like Zapier to about 1 trillion different things under the sun. Spence, I need an Instagram scraper that connects to this and does that and makes it spit out unicorn poop. Okay, great. I have the capacity to do almost all of these things through APIs and to just, as I'm doing now, generate very quickly a single file solution. Let's see, because Claude is more mature. Let's see if Claude has a better luck than my built-in connection. And by the way, the other reason that might not have been so great is that's using just plain old ChatGPT 4. I mean, it's really like 6 generations old. So I probably would do a better one anyway. But let's just see if this works. Unicorn slideshow. Oh, sorry. I'm going to do Fluent snippets. And I'll replace it with this. And we'll also see what it tells us to do. It's probably also I'm going to guess it's probably got I'll just save it and I'll ask it what I need to do. It's probably going to be a different shortcode. Oh, here we go. Oh, unicorn slideshow. So maybe the same. And let's go to the page. And now we've got it. So what do we do? Here's my unicorn slideshow. What I would do is I would go to my tool on the back and I would add this in as a new app. And this again will be like verbal, but unicorn slideshow. And for this one, we're going to put the app in there. It's not the back end. So slides about unicorns. We're going to go ahead and publish it. But this time, instead of doing an icon, I could just do a featured image, right? So what do we know? With a featured image, I can go ahead and either use previous things, I can upload things, or I can use my image scraper, which is awesome too, right? So if I go over here and I say Media Hub, image import, unicorn, and I can tell it what size and shape and so forth, but like, who cares? Okay, I'm just going to go with, let's do this one. Save the image. I refresh this page because I got to get the new image out of the library. Now, there it is, my favorite unicorn. I update, and now I have a fully functional application that has not only the unicorn page, but the unicorn slideshow. How fun is that? And imagine how quickly you could do what I just did. I want to do one last thing. I'm building the Minute Launch AI system. This is WP Launchify. Okay. You know, because you can see if you go to WP Launchify, I'm using Cadence and all the rest. And for some of my sales pages, like the Fluent Community Customizer, I've got a very nice template. Hours dragging and dropping and tweaking Cadence just to make it look good. But you know what? I said to the AI, hey, AI, you're building this tool, the Minute Launch AI system with me. Wouldn't it be cool if you just generated the sales page content for me and then it live dynamically updates as you continue to add more features? In other words, I tell the AI, here's a destination page, and I want it in the style of the underlying Cadence theme, but do I care to continually change and drag and drop the layout when it gives me this anyway? Where in my head would it make sense to spend minutes, hours, days working on design stuff when the AI knows the original source of the content? It's building the plugin with me. It can continue to analyze the features it's building. And in doing so, it can write the sales copy. It can do the design. And under the hood, it's really just plain old HTML5, right? So if I looked at it this way, this may be gibberish to you guys. To me, this is like my old friend, but like, I'm not going to edit this. What I'm going to do is I could take this, and if I wanted to change stuff, I could either look at it in a regular editor, like I can convert this to blocks, or I can use a tool, right? So if I convert this to blocks, I can see, you know, all the various things, or I can use a tool like an HTML text editor. But what I'm really going to do is I'm really just going to take the sales copy and I'm going to go back into my tool and say, change the words to this, change the color to that. Because why would I go down to the factory floor with a shovel to make a 6-foot hole when I could just tell the robots, make it a 7-foot hole? And this is how, instead of spending an hour a day doing this, I'll just make something similar that's like this. And if I want, I can change the colors. I just tell it. So that's a big part of this concept, is that we're moving away from the idea of being enamored with using the tools and enamored with the themes, although we can still do that. I could change the top bar. I can make this not be an app format. I do have, by the way, this nice slide out tool you can kind of see underneath here that allows me to, oh, it's just scaling. It allows me to interact and go into the traditional mode, full admin mode, exit app mode. I can make a regular theme work, but why? Why would I do that? I can make this pretty. I can put my client's logo at the top. I can put a back end, just like, you know, just like I do here, right? Like I got a picture of San Diego. I can slide that over and put a picture of my kids. Why wouldn't I? All right. My energy level is low. I need to take coffee and a nap or both. I'm asking you guys, you're all participants and customers anyway. I'm asking you guys to come on board with me with the idea that we're going to start putting this in the hands of real customers. I may need a couple of days of the weekend to smooth out a couple of the things. I also want to make sure that I've got the proper security in place and that I've got the wrap around it. But then you can also interact with me if you participate, because I want to make, number one, these joint venture promotional things to your audiences, right? I will make the sales presentation. I will put the thing out there, and all of the pricing can be done in open, because the thing is, I'm selling this objectively retail to your customers directly at the same price, whether you're involved or not. Where you're going to make your profit is on the things that run on top of this, which is fair. That's just like how the iPhone store works, right? If you got Dropbox and you have the mobile app, Dropbox isn't making money on the iPhone or the operating system iOS X. They don't need to. They're doing it on the service that runs on top of it, okay? John is ready to rock and roll, because John is one of the inspirations for this, along with others, because he informed me he's got a group of people that need to do certain things, and he was looking at Notebook LLM, and I said, John, right? Like, we can get there and more, but I just need some information. So I'm really excited about this, because what this does is it solves a multitude of other things that have plagued WordPress, not the least of which is, did you notice what I did not do at all? I wasn't dicking around, not 1 second, with any controls, design tools, setting up plugins or anything. Because even with something as complex as a WooCommerce product, I'm able to make a subscription product to sell content and then make a custom app that displays it and aggregates stuff and makes, I don't need to mess around another thing. Can I mimic? I don't know what that is. What is Coach Fox? That's a good, these are great ideas. Somebody came to me and said, do you know this and this and this? I'm like, anything you can do on the internet or an iPhone, I can do here. I just need the inspiration, and we need together to basically start getting these in the hands of real people, and they're going to be paid. So what I'm saying is, I'm asking people to pay $250 a year to become a participant in this journey. It's going to be very front loaded now, but then what's going to happen is we're going to get into the fun stuff. So when I started as the Evil Genius back 18 years ago, welcome to the lab, it was because a bunch of people wanted a video browser. Well, it grew into 20, 30 products and a whole nother industry of stuff, because the platform was Ning and they were starving for easy to do stuff. The platform of WordPress, I've hopefully conveyed to you, is ridiculously awesome. It's all the stuff that's happening on top of it that's ridiculous, and we could just go around it. But I need somebody to participate by saying, $250, I'm on, and I'm going to be asking for, participating, suggesting, yada, yada, yada. Hello, Carrie. I'm glad you're here to see this, because you, of all people, have been with me on a long journey. Carrie's been with me for, God, 10 years or something. So this is where this is going. And I, honest to God, am doing this, using this myself, because I do not see any reason that I'm ever going to be building custom pages or posts for anybody, because I can make my clients a custom web app for everything and anything that's for them and their customers, that does things that I couldn't have dreamed coding. And if I did, it would have taken me years. So 6, is it 6? I feel older. I feel like I've known you for 10, but I've actually met Carrie and his lovely girlfriend in person. All right, that's it for now. What am I asking? Each of you email me, come to me with, I have a list of people. I want to do a presentation. I want to sell this to them as beta. I'm asking now $250 a year. It's a discount of $50. If they want, I can do money back guarantee for the first 30 days. For you, it's the ideas of what we're going to do for your audience that has like the base level functionality. I'm not building unlimited stuff for you guys for free, but what I'm willing to do is build the base level stuff and give this the white label tools and other input from you, so that it becomes really your own. Because let's be honest, an iPhone works for every business. An operating system works for every business. It's just, what do you do in setting it up to run the particular stuff? I hope this has impressed you. I have never been more excited about the potential. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend.